Alright, so let me see if I can. Dear? Dear?
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor, please? The Bible Version Conspiracy channel, or the Bible Version Conspiracy Facebook page just went live. Could you get the link for that and share it in the Bible Version Conspiracy chat group so that the people there can see the chat?
How do I do that?
Go to the Bible Version Conspiracy page.
Well, apparently if people like Stephen Anderson and Gene Kim and stuff, they can, if they want to, they can block their image.
And then copy link.
Then?
And then go back.
Oh, did you hear that?
Okay.
Oh, by the way,
You need to go to Messenger.
Joseph,
Messenger.
Albert, Lion, Frederick, whatever on earth he is.
Dear, thank you.
That's why I said that. Okay, wait, sorry, not louder.
Oh, good.
I was like, perfect.
Moving around.
I was like, perfect. Because I was going to apologize and be like, oh, I confused you with someone else. Well, no one's probably watching though, Tony. Because if it's not even been shared and you're not in there.
That's okay.
I wish it would just be done this minute.
That works. In this time zone, not everybody else's.
Let's start up in your story. Okay.
Alright, so doing 2 different screens at once. I'm going to record it on the laptop, post that to YouTube, and we'll also have the recording for Facebook here. I don't know if there's a live chat on there or not, and I don't think I'll be able to see it at this point, but it eliminates distractions. Alright, and I'll record on the laptop as best as I can, and then, like I said, that'll go to YouTube. Okay. So as you guys might have seen in the live chat with the buzz, watching now from my PC. Sweet, Charles, so it worked. We're gonna beat this Mandela Effect thing. Much better color on the phone. Nice. I don't know if I can put you someplace better. That'll work. Okay. So, emoticons. This used to thrill me. Reading through the Bible during the course of the year, and after I joined Facebook, of course, I never noticed it beforehand, ever. But after joining Facebook, it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. When I would read in the Bible and it would say, like him that readeth, let him understand, or different things like that. Matthew 24:1 is a good example. Let me pull that up. Matthew 24:1. Is it Matthew 24:1? Did I write down the wrong verse? I think I wrote down the wrong verse. Yeah, never mind. Anyways, there's one in Hebrews. There's a couple of different ones where it has, at the end of a thought, a parenthetical thought, it has a semicolon just before the parenthesis, making a smiley face which doesn't have a space before it, so it is not an emoticon. That's interesting. And I'm just going to have to operate on the notes that I took on the tablet right now because the phone is occupied with recording video now. And apparently 2 people are watching. That's nice. So there, I was like, I wonder if this is used in other literature. And I got 2 book titles from 1741 and 1795. This is just in a basic search because I was just like, I wonder if I could search Google Books and find something. So I did. This is the title of one book. Quote, lyric poems, being 24 songs, never before printed. And here's the punctuation. Lyric poems, semicolon, being 24 songs, parenthesis, never before printed, colon, end parenthesis. And this is a really obscure book. So the Illuminati went back in time and changed the title of their book to include an emoticon. Okay. Special, but okay. The Siege of Lyons, or Lyon, I suppose, during the dictatorship, or Robespierre, the second city in point of population in France. Quite a title. 1795. Here's with the punctuation. Quote, the Siege of Lyons, parenthesis, during the dictatorship or, bracket, sick, and bracket, Robespierre, or Robespierre, I suppose, colon, and parenthesis, the second city in point of population in France, 1795. And let me hit a couple more points here and we'll probably be done for tonight. I really want to go after this. I really want to go after this idea that the King James Bible especially is supernaturally changing constantly because of certain things that are not talked about. And I tried to ask Kat if we have a commentary, say Matthew Henry's, for example, and he, way back in the day, is talking about and making a point of the animal in Isaiah 11:6 being a wolf, specifically. And if that is supposed to have been supernaturally changed, so Matthew Henry's words are now also targeted. Everything about the Bible, everything about dictionaries, everything about everything is now affected, and I can't trust anybody who looks anything up. I can't trust when somebody says that something's an archaic word or form of something else. I can't trust a thing. The only person at this point that can be trusted is the other person who believes in these supernatural Bible changes and also trusts no one. This is where this leads you. everybody watching this right now who is under this, I'm sorry, it's demented. If you are unable to learn, if you are unable to be refuted, if you are unable to even take any kind of response from anybody, that is not a teachable position. It is not a Christian position. It is not a holy position. It is a cultic mentality where no one can say anything to you about anything because you believe a certain way, and the way that you believe is that everybody else is completely brainwashed. That is a cult mentality. Not saying that Kat is a cult leader, but she's getting close. From what I heard tonight on her live stream, she's getting awful close. Oh, let's see. And I'm not saying that people are not remembering verses different ways. I'm not saying that. There are a very few places where a Bible change or whatever is not easy to be found the way that it should be in a modern translation. And that's usually what it is they're just remembering it the other way, or, oh man, I've always heard it preached this way, and, things like that. Oh, I remember wineskins. Don't you remember the King James Bible saying wineskins? Why does it say bottles? Was it plastic? Was it glass? This is how ignorant this gets. It's really, really sad. It's frustrating. It's a waste of time, but saving people out of this craziness is not a waste of time. I believe that there must be some people in there that can still be reached on this and that are not completely brainwashed by this quantum black magic theory thing, which I'm starting to think is a psyop. There are enough conspiracy theories that are legitimate that show that the King James Bible is being tampered with, especially through the modern versions, and in other ways too, to where you don't have to accept this supernatural Bible change thing for any reason. And I can't check in Drive, I don't believe. Actually, maybe I can. Let me see. Integrations, Google Drive. Oh, no. No, I can't. Because it only goes to my Google Drive. Never mind. Okay, never mind. So, the wolf being in Isaiah 11 goes back very far. One of the far places that it goes back to is John Chrysostom, or Chrysostom, sometimes he's pronounced. He was a very early Greek Christian pastor, and he said wolf and lamb. He did not say lion and lamb. But now here's something very interesting that really shows that it's modern versions that are causing a lot of this confusion. So not only have the modern versions changed and made a lot of problems with the text of the Bible, they've also generated, in a roundabout sort of way, this idea that you have supernatural Bible changes. Here's how it goes. Kat says that there's people, young people, very young people, that have called in to her radio program, because it's not a radio program. It does not deserve airtime. Nobody would allow this to be on the air because it's a waste of time, and it's clear to see. It can only flourish on a platform where anybody can upload whatever they want to, so long as they don't violate terms of service, and which Kat has done multiple times. Apparently, she's had several YouTube channels shut down because she's mentioned things that are considered, the usual pain in the butt YouTube. Oh, you're spreading misinformation. So the usual nonsense. And that's sad for her that she would have gotten canceled because of that. But what I don't appreciate is that in the cover of her book, and I'll get back to the kids that call into her program in a second, she says in the beginning of her book that her channels have been shut down because she talks about the supernatural Bible changes and the current and world events that are connected with these things as the world becomes a darker place, something like that wording. But she is saying by this claim that she is being shut down partially, she believes, because of the supernatural Bible changes thing. Right now, she has a channel with 12K subscribers. That is frightening in itself. And I'm sorry. I don't want to be too harsh. I want to keep dialogue open with these people. I'm hoping that something can be done about this. Like I said, I plan on making lots and lots and lots of videos about this in the future because I think it is very important to stress that there are people that are lost in a maze that they don't know how to get out of, and they don't even realize they're there. That's what a cult mentality brings you, is that you're right, everybody else is wrong, it's us versus them. We need to not listen to them. We need to keep within ourselves. We need to listen to Pastor. We need to listen to the lady on YouTube, which I think is a little bit unbiblical, especially when you are saying that all the pastors are wolves, like one of her followers said this evening. All pastors who do not see the Bible version changes are wolves, apparently. What I think is that people that leave those kind of comments are agent provocateurs. They are there to stir up hatred within the group for people on the outside of the group. There are people like, people on the cover of The Crowd by Laban. Spewing out words and making everybody frantic while the fat man sits behind them counting his money. Not saying the cat is making any money off of this. She may not be. I do not know if she has any motivation for this outside of honest, sincere lack of actual Bible study. This is where I think Satan has set this up to be another thing that is going to divide Bible-believing Christians. And it's doing nothing but gaining steam at this point among sadly gullible people who apparently don't have somebody to set them straight in their lives, somebody that they trust. They don't have somebody that can sit down, and nobody that has sat down, explained the Bible to them, a pastor that they can be, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And not only that, but if they do have pastors, they aren't equipped, able, or willing to help them out of this nonsense. Because the only place that these people have to turn is to Kat and her channel. It's the only place that they have to go. And that is sad. It is very sad. Especially to me. And I want to try to help in any way that I can. If you guys know of any websites or any videos or whatever else like this, somebody that is dedicating time to this to try to help these kind of people. This is in my niche. This is on my side of the net. This is something that I think that I should deal with, because the primary purpose of this channel existing is a conspiracy behind modern versions, and a conspiracy against the King James Bible. And I think that this phenomenon of the Mandela Effect and how it relates to what the Bible says, this is this is a point that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed well. It needs to be addressed as thoroughly as possible. It needs to be addressed in sincerity. It needs to be addressed in charity. I am genuinely concerned. I am frustrated. I am concerned. I do not want it to suck me in, like, you know, obsessive kind of stuff. But I could see, because I don't see people like Kat admitting that they're wrong on any of these points, because the way that this is shaped in the mind makes it so that you can't say that something's wrong. You can always say that something has changed, or somebody is trying to explain something away, and those are your 4 or 5 whack-a-moles. You hit down one and the next one pops up, and that's just how it always is, and you cycle back around to the other side. That's how cults function. They will bring up one thing, and then when you knock that down, it's next thing, knock it down, next thing, knock it down, next thing, back to the first thing. It's that circle. It's a hamster wheel. And I don't like seeing anybody. I spent 5 years in a hardware store, and my job now too, in a little bit of customer service digitally more, and over the phone, but our motto, our slogan at Ace Hardware was the helpful place. And my job was to help everyone that walked in that door, because everybody that walked in that door was there for something. If they needed help to carry it, if they needed help to find it, if they needed help to choose it, if they needed help to be able to use it when they got home, every aspect of that was my job to say, I can help here. I can't help here. Let me find someone who can. If I can't find someone who can, I will try to the best of my ability to go online anywhere that I can to find some information about this, and at least give you the next step that you can take outside of my ability to be able to help you. And I've helped a lot of people, and that's still where my heart is to try to help people find help people find what they need and find their way out of the store. I want to be able to help these people who have found themselves confused because, number one, of what they remember and what they see, which can, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, can be manipulated by known science. Things that are misremembered and stuff like that. Things like that. Things like, wolf or lion and heaven and heavens and stuff like that. Things like that are very, very little. Very, very, very little. When we get into the nonsense verses and the doctrinal changes, things start getting scary. Very scary. Thank you guys for watching live on the Facebook thing. I appreciate that. And we're at 24 minutes on the recording on my laptop, which I will post to YouTube. The word ass in the King James Bible was fascinating to learn about. It goes back to Old Latin, Old French, Old English, Asius or Asaius or something like that. It seems that the word ass being applied to your backside and being applied to a donkey is actually very historical, and they are very closely related. Oh, Jin. They are very closely related throughout history. I do have an article on that I plan to do a video about eventually, that I found on an etymology website that goes into how it originated, and which I did not get to on this video. Went down through, you know, the usual progression, French and German, and, you know, down into English and stuff. And, but Cat remembers it being donkey. It used to be donkey. If it used to be donkey, Cat, how come in every modern version it still says donkey? If it's supposed to be supernatural Bible changes, I challenge you to conspiracy theorize for a minute and tell us how it changed from donkey to ass in the King James Bible, and then did not change in the modern versions, or even the New King James, or any of the others. I think that what you're remembering is sermons and quotations from modern versions that say donkey, because, as far as I'm aware, the word donkey does not exist in the King James Bible anywheres. And they exclusively use the word ass to refer to a donkey, and it is self-evident. It is self-evident. And I find it very, very frustrating and very, very sad that you cannot acknowledge the fact that the word ass means donkey. It is fascinating, but it is frustrating. Therefore, you take every verse in the Bible that uses the word ass and say that it is obscene, and then you twist it in your own mind to make it something ridiculous, where somebody is lading corn on an ass and then taking it away, or a guy is riding a she-ass or something like that. You just completely, I'm sorry, but that, you can have a sick mind sometimes. You're never going to watch this video anyway, so why am I talking to you? I don't know. I can't wait to come back on your video, so long as you don't just completely shut off and turn away everybody that has something to say on this that doesn't agree with you, because it sounds like that's where you're headed from what I heard tonight, with you saying that you don't think that people that can't see these Bible changes, that they're probably not even saved. I'm sorry, but your little book that you think is the greatest thing since salvation, and you say so, this truth that you've uncovered, apparently, because I think that a lot of you and your viewers, and you especially, are being affected by something paranormal that you can't understand. You remember things one way, you're seeing a store or a sign change in front of your eyes, and you're just like, what is going on? I will say this, I do not doubt that that is happening. I do not doubt that that is what you're seeing. But that is a paranormal phenomenon that is caused by an entity that neither you nor I will probably ever see, and neither you nor I will ever understand in this life. It is not a, ooh, look at this. They're using black magic to change the Bible. And you also claim, Kat claims, to have seen Bible verses change right in front of her eyes. There's, I'm sure that there's a phenomenon for that, because, like, you know, like a psychological thing where you just kind of assume that a word is there and then you read it again and you're just like, but if you actually are watching a word go in front of your eyes and you're just like, what is going on? Something like that can be explained paranormally. Many extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, whatever, have said that they are able to affect what people see and are also able to see through their eyes. So people will see a black blob with a couple of glowing points for eyes because they claim they have wiped that part of it from their memory. And casting spells also can make you see things that aren't there. The truck is suddenly 50 feet high, like in the One Confessionals podcast. Or there's giant arms that spring out of these graves and try to grab you and stuff like that. Giant black arms. Things that aren't actually there, apparently, but are there in some sense, and there is some kind of spell being cast over a certain area by either music or whatever else is happening at the time. These things happen. So I think that what is actually happening here is these people are under an influence that they can't understand, and when they see these things happening, and this is a little bit of an answer for them because this is a piece of the puzzle that fits in, that I think works well, that they don't have an explanation for why these things happen yet. They just kind of say it's black magic, somebody's doing a ritual someplace. Apparently a ritual that's more powerful than God to be able to keep the words in the Bible how they should be. Isaiah 7:20, where God will shave with a razor that is hired, namely by the king of Assyria, him that is beyond the river, by the king of Assyria, both the head and the hair of the feet, and it will also consume the beard. Something like that, something that with that phrasing. Apparently that verse never used to exist in the Bible. That is a black magic supernatural change in the Bible that was added because I don't remember that being there before. I remember it being there before. Like I've said at other points, I've read the Bible probably 6 or 7 times, I would say, and I have listened to every book in the Bible. I'm an audio learner that way. I have a harder time comprehending something if I'm reading it, but I can do really well if I'm listening to it. I have listened through every book of the Bible, I'd say probably about 20 times by this point. And thanks for joining. And I remember that verse very clearly. Circling all the way back around. These kids will call into her program and they'll say, I remember this verse saying donkey and not ass, and now it says ass, and I remember it the other way. They are in a panic, I'm sure, because it's just like they're calling in confused. They don't know what's going on. But the thing is that they just need to look it up in a modern version, and it will say just what it should say. Isn't that interesting? The mentality of these people. But the whole justification of all of this is that, oh, we have screen captures, or I remember this or that. We're denying their experience with facts, with history, with dictionaries, with Bible encyclopedias, with different things like this. Things that are physically happening around us that have been documented throughout history in written form. Apparently they're all being changed by witchcraft because we have experiences. And we've seen things, I don't doubt that a lot of them have seen versus be different, possibly. Hi, Charles. And I've already talked about that, so I don't need to talk about it again. So with these kids, these black magic things are supposed to be retroactive in some way, I guess. In other words, these kids are remembering the Bible verses the way they used to be, apparently, before John Chrysostom wrote. And the reason that they're remembering them that way is because black magic apparently has affected the Bible throughout all of history then. In other words, I just said two different things. There is no concrete explanation for these things that they have offered us yet. There are a lot of very, very interesting questions that are very easy to come up with for this kind of thing. I never even thought that this would be a debate. I honestly did not. Starting out with this a couple of years ago, I didn't think that I'd be dealing with I didn't think that I would be Robin with my Slade Wilson to be a, you know, Teen Titans, you know. I didn't think that I would have my Joker to my Batman. I didn't think that that would happen, but I think that this, either it's going to be around for a while. It's probably going to be around for a while, and it's really sad. So, that verse about the hair of the feet, she said, apparently God shaves. And she's like, can you explain this verse to me? Because, you know, this verse apparently makes absolutely no sense. It was a nonsense verse inserted by the black magic or whatever, where apparently we can't understand that God is sending the king of Assyria to judge Israel. And one of the things he's going to do is he's going to shave off their hair. Apparently, their body hair. The hair of the head, the hair of the feet, and the beard. That's the visible body hair. She goes to Strong's and looks up a word that Strong's lists, and then looks up another word that Strong's lists, and then she's able to wrench the hair between the feet, which would be, you know, in your groin area. And she goes, this is a perverted verse because they're having God is apparently having people being shaved in their private areas. This is perverted, Bible-changing black occultism. And it's like, well, let me tell you something. The king of Assyria was not a nice guy. And God said, if you don't turn back to me and turn from the idols that are having you burn your children, I'm going to send the king of Assyria, and he's not going to treat you well. God was giving them a God-sized spanking. And he was allowing the wicked one, the wicked man, the king of Assyria, to do what he wanted to, and God wasn't going to protect them. And how do you think that God would not, how do you think that the king of Assyria would not want to do something like that? Basic reading of a verse, basic Bible understanding, basic anything. And this is why this debate is so important. Everything in your Bible that does not exactly match their expectations is added by black magic somehow. And you don't see that, and you don't agree with me, therefore you're not saved, and I'm going to troll you. And I'm going to call you all sorts of nasty names and all this other kind of stuff. Some of her followers do. I haven't heard her do that, but she did say tonight on her live stream that she does feel that people like me are, you know, here's a good example. Another thing that she said when I was on the live stream, she was like, God doesn't hiss. That's what snakes do. She didn't say, but she meant that only snakes hiss. Just the sound. Okay. You obviously didn't grow up on a farm. You've never tried to take eggs from a duck, apparently, because ducks will hiss at you. Ducks will hiss at you all day long. So will geese. Birds of all kinds will hiss at you. Cats will hiss at you. God hissing and other men hissing as they pass by in the Bible. I tried to explain to her, the Jews still do that today. They will hiss to show disdain, displeasure with something. We'll do it today too. Just watch yourself sometimes. Like if you taste something bad or just, you know, what have you. You'll, that is a hiss. It doesn't mean that you're a reptilian or something like this. It doesn't. But apparently, and I don't remember saying this, I said, according to her, that my God hisses. I did not say that. I asked her if Jesus was a Jew. And she was like, oh, this is going to be a trick question kind of thing. And I was like, no, I'm wondering if you're asking me if God hisses or not. I want to know if you think that Jesus was a Jew. Because if he was, then he would have hissed to show disdain as well. And I'm sure that if I searched the word hiss in the Bible, I could find something like that where he actually did. Not necessarily in the New Testament, but we'll have to see. I'll look it up sometime. That'll be a whole nother video all by itself. Wacky, wacky stuff here going on, sorry. So, she said on her live stream tonight, the guy that was on last week, he said that his God hisses, and I was like, whoa, back up, don't want any part of that, because that's Satan. He's probably worshiping Satan. Really? Name changes, transliteration from Hebrew and Greek. 2 different languages. Noe, Jonas, Judas, Jude, I think, as well. James isn't Jacob. Jacob is in the Old Testament. James is the Greek form in the New Testament. Come on. Things like this. They're changing the Bible. And I'm going to try to end with this. Scripture is now blasphemous. And here's how she describes it. Quote, blasphemous, obscene, and graphic. That's how she describes it in her book. And why? Because Jesus is called holy thing in one verse in the King James Bible before he is born. That holy thing which shall be born of you, which shall be born of you. He was not a thing. You are worshiping a different Jesus, she told me. Because you call Jesus a holy thing. Hanged on a tree. Christ was hung on a tree with nails. This tree just happened to be a wooden cross that either grew where it was and was used over and over again, or was cut and planted in a hole in the ground as a big board. It is a tree, and the disciples and the apostles make a point of that, calling the cross the tree. And there are hymns contradicting what Kat says. She says that this is not a thing. There are hymns that say that call the cross the tree. I'll have to look those up. But apparently, my Jesus was hung on a tree, and in her mind, she thinks a branch with leaves and a rope. And Jesus was not hung that way, but now the King James Bible says that. So the King James Bible is obviously affected by black magic, and you, Joseph, apparently are not following the same Jesus I am. Okay. And ass instead of donkey. Apparently, because the King James Bible even has the word bastard or ass or anything else like this in it, makes it corrupt, unholy, graphic, and obscene. Guys, I don't think that this is going to go down anytime soon. I don't think that I'm going to be the one to take it down. I am just a YouTuber with a couple of associate's degrees. And I'm just doing the best that I can. you don't have to be a scholar, and they're probably less likely to listen to a scholar anyways. But apparently, Kat was praying for somebody who didn't see the changes in the Bible to come on her program so that she could show them to said individual. I went on there. The live stream was about 3 hours. I included the link down in the description if anybody wants to waste their time watching that. I'll have to waste my time watching it at some point because I do want to go back through it and respond point by point and everything else like this. I'm not trying to justify things, and I'm not just trying to go, oh shoot, now I've got to make up for what the King James Bible says, which is crazy. It's just too easy to just sit here and try to explain something the best that you can. But then it's hard for where the people that you're talking to are just completely not interested. You are obviously a Satanist. You are not serving the right Jesus. You are blind. You are under the strong delusion. You are probably never a Christian at all whatsoever. This is a cult. And I am definitely ordering their book. And I am going to do the best that I can to try to help some people out of it. I know that some people that watched our program that we had together subscribed to our YouTube channel. For that, I'm thankful. I hope that they listen to some of this, and I hope to get some videos out. I plan to focus 3 days out of the week on the Bible version conspiracy, and then focus 2 other days out of the week on our fledgling design business, which is in the works, Armstrong Graphics, and our other fledgling ministry, cardcarryingchristians.com. Those will be Thursday and Tuesday, working on them those days, and yeah. And I think that's something that might set me apart too, just to get this out there, and to try to make this part a little bit more equal to the other 2 parts. I think that one thing that kind of sets me apart from other people that would deal with this is my entire channel is based on the idea of a conspiracy. Somebody like David W. Daniels, for instance. He talks about conspiracy stuff, and he's called a conspiracy nut by some people. But he's got a whole ministry to think about. He can't be talking about UFOs and Bigfoot and, just all the crazy stuff that I'm going to end up getting to. A lot of people have their King James Bible defending reputations to take care of. Me right now, my reputation is sitting here at almost 1 in the morning making a silly video about silly people with 2 viewers, a wife that's probably frustrated at me, and just that. I don't have at this point, I really don't have anything to lose. So I can kind of, I guess, be, not the wild card, but I can be the little hot dog that has the short little legs and goes right down the rabbit hole after the weasel or whatever else. Or down the weasel hole, I guess. There's no rabbits down this hole. It smells like weasels to me. Anyways. If you guys want to support what we're doing, I think we're doing something important. I think that we're filling a niche that needs to be filled. This is a corner of King James onlyism that very few have delved into. I think Gail Riplinger probably took the deepest dive out of any of us. And she went down far, stayed down long, and came up dry. Me, I'm probably coming up sopping wet and sputtering, but it's fascinating to me. I want to talk about it. I want to do what I can to help. I've already spoken my heart on this. If these changes and stuff like this are happening in real time in front of these people's eyes, which I think are totally legitimate. I do not doubt their stories personally because of the stuff that I've listened to. Things like that, I can relate with. Things like postulating that so many Bible verses are just flat out added there, and also happen to be in every commentary throughout history and are there because of black magic. Things like that, I'm just like, whoa, guys. It's one thing to say that the Bible used to say heavens instead of heaven in Genesis 1. One thing to say that, and then be really off base because you just memorized it in a modern version and you're like, oh, my memory is bad. It's another thing to say, well, this verse changed right before my eyes. It was lions yesterday, and now it's wolves again. It's going to be lions tomorrow, and I'm going to make a screen capture, and apparently the screen capture is not going to change for some reason. And that's a whole nother thing from saying that every verse that I don't understand and where it says that we are saved by hope, which hope and faith are like the same thing because you believe that something is going to happen in the future. That's faith. You are saved by hope. It's just a different form of faith. It's not hard to explain. It's not hard to understand. But when you get into this kind of not the mentality that where where they are purposefully stupid and committing intellectual suicide or something like this. Not where they're doing that, but where they are desperate and they are seeing things that they can't explain and they are primed and ready to believe anything that comes along as a plausible explanation. I just tuned in what you've been talking about. I'm so sorry, Peter. Oh my goodness. We're talking about the Mandela Effect and apparently how some people believe that black magic has changed the Bible in so many different ways. And if apparently, Peter, you don't see how these changes are being made, then you're probably not a Christian. And you're probably a wolf in sheep's clothing, and so is your pastor. It's been a wild ride. If you want to, listen to the last 3 hour-long parts, we've had a lot of technical difficulties. Wow. But, yeah, we've gotten into some stuff. When you're primed and ready to believe any old thing that comes along as a plausible explanation for something that you're seeing in front of you, you are liable to believe anything, and you are liable to put your total trust in anybody else who is going through the same thing that you are. And I understand that. I sympathize. I am on that part of my path on many different things, grasping, trying to understand things that were supposed to be impossible. We live in a crazy, crazy world full of crazy, crazy people, and us crazy people don't make it any better. So, I'm just hoping that with these last 3 videos, with on the Mandela Effect, on just the absolute nuttiness, that hopefully I can contribute to helping these people not just find their way out of a really, really weird place. Not just that. I want them to find answers to what they are trying to figure out. I don't know if I can recommend it at this point, so I'm not going to. But there may be a way that they could stop these things from happening in their own lives. Because let's just say there apparently are things that we don't understand, that are doing things that we can't understand, that are affected by simple things, you know, for reasons that we don't understand, at least that I don't understand. But we'll get into that at some point. We'll get into missing 411 and all that good stuff. I think we're slowly finding the answers to these things. I've been fascinated with the work of David Paulides now for probably about a year. Unexplainable things that are real, documented. People disappearing from places that there should be no ability for them to be able to disappear from. No human way that they could travel the distances that they do in the time that they do. And no way that just unconceivable things that make you desperate for answers. And I've been listening to everything that I can, looking for answers to these questions. And I think we're getting there. Thanks to a different cat, and I will leave it with that. Yep. You know, Charles. You know, Charles. You know. I think you must have watched the video that I sent you last night. Anyways, we'll leave it with that. We'll be done. Thank you very much for sticking around. This has been very much appreciated. If you want to support this channel and what we're doing, everything's down in the description. Every way that you can support us is down there. Except I don't think I put our ConvertKit tip jar down there. That might not be a bad idea. Anyways. Consider buying us a book if you feel so inclined. Links in the description. And you guys can also check out everything that I have pretty much mentioned in this video. Responses by a lady who owns a YouTube channel called A Standard Bearer. And a link to my and Kat's discussion on the supernatural Bible changes. And a link to Kat's book on the supernatural Bible changes. I appreciate you sticking around. I appreciate everybody's patience. I will see you guys hopefully next Friday at 9. I want to advance our time back to 9, or devance, or whatever. Regress our time back to 9 so that we can stream a little bit earlier in the time zone next to us. It'll be 8 o'clock, the next time zone 7, the next time zone 6. I think that'll be better for people. So hopefully we'll be able to go a little bit earlier next time, and I won't be up till 1 at night, wearing out my voice, talking to one person and a recording device. Anyways, it's been fun. I enjoy this stuff. I might get spirited. I might be sounding mean at some points. But the thing is I really want to help, and I'm still learning. And I hope you are too. Have a good night.